Story 1. Have you talked to women in their late teens and 20s? It really doesn't matter what they look like when immaturity is apparent. Older women tend to be more mature and, in my opinion, more pleasant to talk to and date. Story 2. More mature and, in theory, better at communication. More experienced, which often leads to being better lovers. They usually have a clearer understanding of what they want from a relationship. More financially secure, so they are not looking for someone to support them. They tend to be more focused and not engage in pointless games. Often, they are more confident in their appearance and their actions. These are the same reasons women appreciate older men. Story 3. Older women tend to be more mature and often know what they want. They are usually ready for something serious, while younger women just want to have fun. Story 4. There is a saying in French, the language of romantic love, that goes, "The best soups are made in older pots." Story 5. Yes, absolutely, women my age are much more attractive to me than someone a decade or more younger or older. There's something about their intellect, humor, and frankly their experience that makes them incredibly magnetic. As long as they've managed to live this long and remain kind and optimistic, life experience typically molds them into interesting people. Another factor, if I'm being honest, is that my reduced libido has allowed me to see women for who they are, without the distractions of youth getting in the way. Story 6. Women aged teens to mid-20s often face uncertainties, and may still be navigating the challenges of adolescence. Story 7. Why, I don't know. But these young millennials and older Generation Z are attracted to us. I never received much male attention until I turned 39. 10 years later, it hasn't stopped. In fact, it has increased since I grew my gray hair. I have a young, smooth, and wrinkle-free face, so it creates a contrast, I suppose. I have to turn down men in their mid to late 20s and throughout their 30s. However, I don't receive any attention from men over 45 years old. Story 8. Attraction and preference are two different concepts, especially when discussing men. I believe men are attracted to any woman regardless of her age if she is attractive. Story 9. Because they are appealing and mature. They do not want to mess around or play games. They have experienced that before. They know what they want. Story 10. I am 40 years old, short and voluptuous. I believe my face is pretty, but I had an 11-pound Thanksgiving turkey of a baby, so life happened to my body. I get approached by younger men, around 22 years old, more than anyone else. I cannot explain why, but I assume it's because breasts are enjoyable, regardless of who they belong to. Story 11. Here's the honest answer. Most men will gladly have sex with an older woman, but that does not mean that a man is willing to commit to that same woman. Just because a 55-year-old woman might attract a 25-year-old man for a one-night stand does not mean that 25-year-old men are entering relationships with 55-year-old women. Story 12. I was attracted to older women until my early 30s. From 17 onward, there was a minimum 10-year age difference. At one point, she was 19 years my senior. I learned a great deal about relationships, treating women respectfully, acting properly in public, and understanding what romance truly means. I also gained significant insight into sexuality and the importance of brutal honesty, which has stuck with me for life. When I reflect on the man I am today, I can see a direct correlation to those experiences. Story 13. Older women, particularly those in their 30s, 35s, or even 40s if they maintain their appearance, often attract admiration. This is why many young people develop crushes on their teachers. Story 14. Maturity and responsibility. A woman who handles her responsibilities will always be more attractive than someone who frequently goes out to clubs. Story 15. Yes, I feel more confident, experienced, and interesting to talk to. I am more direct in my communication. These are generalizations, but I believe they are valid. Story 16. Yes, give me a lean, silver-haired, outdoorsy person over 60 for backpacking, kayaking, and other outdoor activities. Unfortunately, I have not met one in the last 10 years in the city where I live. Story 17. When I turned 30, most of the women I met in their 30s seemed like they never left high school. They were still petty, vain, and bitter about the professional athlete or doctor who was supposed to rescue them. Some women in their mid to late 30s had faced harder truths about themselves. More importantly, they stopped being influenced by others' opinions and started taking their own goals seriously. They raised children and experienced heartbreak while confronting the harsh realities of midlife. In summary, I'm attracted to older women because they have more clarity and are usually more down to earth. Story 18. They are very interesting and mature. They are more collected and still have habits that make them unique. Story 19. Why wouldn't I want a woman with experience and emotional maturity who is comfortable in her own skin and assertive about what she wants? Bonus points if she is established in her career and occasionally treats her partner. I am in my early 20s and would not have a problem dating someone in her late 30s or 40s. The main hurdle would be that I do not want children, so she would need to be certain that she is okay with a child-free lifestyle. Not that I have women throwing themselves at me anyway. Story 20. Younger men tend to like older women because women their age are attracted to older men. I'm at the age where I could date a daughter who is 21 or the mother in her 40s. Story 21. Attractive older women, yes. Unattractive older women, no. Interestingly, the same rule applies to younger women. Story 22. The best experience I ever had was with an older woman. Her daughter was nearly old enough to date. The encounter was certainly appealing when I was younger. Story 23. I used to work in an office and had relationships with several married women in their 30s and 40s when I was in my 20s. They were attractive, and some of them were aware of one another while others were not. They all claimed to be content in their marriages but were seeking some excitement. One woman described it well. You are like a massage, something that feels good and I do for myself a treat. I was attracted to them at that time, but now that I am older, I find that women in their 40s no longer interest me. I prefer those aged 25 to 30. Story 24. I have always found it easier to talk with someone older. I have rarely been interested in anyone much younger, and almost never in someone my own age. Story 25. Yes, as long as there is physical and emotional attraction. My ex is 9 years older than me, and we were together for 9 years. Her age was not an issue for me. Story 26. As a middle-aged woman, I attract the attention of younger men quite a bit. I am kind and easy to talk to, which may be the reason. In my experience, the answer is yes. Story 27. Older individuals not much older than me, typically in their 40s, 50s, and 60s, know what they want and need. Story 28. In my family, yes. Why? I think it's because we are all very rational and calm, while the older ladies are more laid back. Story 29. Why not? The difference in age doesn't matter beyond a certain point for most people, and that line is subjective. I dated someone 9 years my senior in my 20s, and it was all good until it wasn't. Story 30. Yes, many people find confidence, life experience, emotional maturity, and knowing what they want to be incredibly attractive. Story 31. Older women have an attractive maturity and experience. I would appreciate being guided in a relationship like that. Story 32. I was attracted to women in their 40s when I was 16. Even today, women in their 50s appeal to me. Story 33. For me, it is a simple matter of them having a better idea of what they want. They are typically settled in their careers and know whether or not they desire a family. They are less likely to mislead you. If they want you, they will let you know. Story 34. Less annoying. More confident. More certain of their desires. Tend to engage in fewer mind games. Greater overall maturity. By their 30s, they often possess the life experience needed for more realistic expectations and desires. Story 35. To say mature in this thread would be incredibly redundant. What I noticed about women beginning in their late 20s and definitely in their 30s as opposed to their early 20s is that they are not as worn down by life as people in their 40s. This observation applies to both men and women. However, they also begin to come into their own. Society often frowns upon sexually adventurous women, and I feel that teenagers and young women in their early 20s are in tighter circles, which leads to more gossip and judgment. They don't feel as comfortable loosening their inhibitions as older women do. After a few years out of college, they have joined new friend groups, dated around a bit, and become more confident in what they want. At least to me, that's what always kept my attention focused on women my age rather than pursuing younger ones. Story 36. Yes, men are attracted to openings in a tree. That's why. However, they are even more attracted to younger women. Story 37. Many great answers. I couldn't agree more with those who mention maturity and responsibility. Most young women seek attention and are often more focused on themselves, while older women tend to make you feel loved and care for you more. Story 38. I appreciate many women of different ages. Nana Visitor is 67 and exceptionally attractive. Emmylou Harris is 78 and equally captivating. Story 39. Yes, women my age, for the most part, are not appealing to me. I am 25 and typically prefer to date women in their mid to late 30s. Story 40. If she is attractive regardless of age, as long as it is within legal limits. Take Salma Hayek, for example. She was born in 1966, making her 57 years old. She is indeed attractive. Story 41. As I get older, I have certainly expanded my appreciation for women my age and older. I find women in their 20s attractive, but I find it more appealing when I can imagine them being as engaged as I am. I also appreciate their experience in enjoying a sense of playfulness. Story 42. An older woman is more mature. She does not have hang-ups when it comes to intimacy. She knows exactly what she wants, and I personally appreciate saggy breasts, stretch marks, and a bit of body to touch. Story 43. In my early 20s, with little to no sexual experience, I struggled with women my own age. I began dating older women, which was generally a positive experience. I learned a few tricks and had a good time while avoiding drama. I appreciate women who have self-confidence and know what they want, and older women were more likely to fit that description. Story 44. Women who pay their own bills genuinely appreciate men. Those who do not pay their own bills are often seeking someone to cover their expenses. Story 45. As I have gotten older, my tastes have changed. Most of the celebrities that people find attractive aren't that exciting to me anymore. I tend to believe that women aren't as attractive until their 30s. However, I have aged as well, so that may be a significant factor. Story 46. In my 20s, I generally pursued older women. I was inexperienced for my age, and I thought that having someone who knew what they were doing would make things easier. It didn't really work out that way. Sure, they had ideas about how things should be done, but they weren't willing to take me seriously as an equal when I disagreed with those ideas, some of which were misguided in hindsight. They were willing to teach, but they were often too impatient and disorganized to be effective at it. And having grown up before the rise of modern feminism meant they didn't have a good understanding of consent. In contrast, the younger women I dated tended to grasp that concept readily. Eventually, I concluded that I need someone to grow with rather than someone to grow for. However, I still don't find a significant age difference to be a meaningful obstacle to being attracted to someone. I just usually don't act on it. Story 47. You are expressing your concerns in a divorce forum and then posting this in AskReddit? Really? Story 48. I am 40 years old, so an older woman for me would be someone who either has grown children or has chosen not to have children, and who is at a stage in life where she is not seeking to be taken care of or to make her relationship her identity. Absolutely, I would date an older woman. However, that is theoretical, as I am currently with the love of my life and she is my age. Story 49. It all comes down to mature communication and, in my case, initiation. Older women tend to be more forthcoming about what they want without playing games. This is just my experience, of course. Story 50. My previous long-term girlfriend was 10 years older than me. It's not that I prefer older women. My current partner is a year younger. I just find that if I am attracted to you and your personality, I don't care much about age. Story 51. Define older. I ended up marrying my friend's older sister, who was too cool to hang out with us back when we were in school. She was 2 grades ahead. Story 52. When I was in my early 20s, A beautiful, wealthy lady in her late 60s, who was a customer at my cafe, wanted me to move in with her. She was a former model turned fashion designer who drank too much wine and was very honest. I had a girlfriend, so I politely declined her. However, part of me really wishes I could have experienced the power dynamic of being her companion. I found her very attractive and enjoyed talking to her because she had lived an interesting life. I prefer to make my own money, but the small gifts she offered to win me over were enticing. Story 53. Older implies being older than oneself or older in the sense of around 40. Most men tend to date women who are a few years their senior. In cases where the woman is significantly older, the man may need to be somewhat desperate, or she must possess a high level of attractiveness for her age. Story 54. As a woman in my 20s, I find that older women are often more attractive and mature. They seem to have an overall advantage. Story 55. For me, one aspect of a woman's attractiveness is whether I would stand a chance with her. I am in my 70s now, so that pretty much leaves out anyone younger than me. Story 56. It's not possible to answer this question without it becoming a contentious issue of stereotypes and defensive responses. However, I will respond. Younger women are vibrant and open-minded, generally more beautiful and willing to learn. They can be emotionally erratic, though. Older women who have their lives together after facing challenges and working hard are incredibly attractive. A woman who gets her body in shape at 35, 40, or 45 is incredibly appealing because many people stop taking care of themselves, making it difficult to regain what time and stress have taken away. A woman who knows what she wants is refreshing, as it minimizes the drama and complaints that some men experience with younger women. I know this may sound unusual, but I find a young woman aged 18 to 21 who is open to learning and enjoying new experiences just as attractive as a woman in her late 30s or early 40s who has dedicated herself to her health, emotional stability, and knows how to please a partner while seeking growth and adventure together. Both are attractive for different reasons. If it comes to an older woman who does not have her life together versus a younger woman who does, I would choose the younger woman because she has more time to learn and grow. While people can change at any point in their lives, many do not. I have more room for acceptance of behaviors in a younger woman than in someone my age or older. However, an older or similarly aged woman who can relate to the hardships I have faced, takes care of her body for her own sake, enjoys her own sexuality, and knows how to enhance our experiences together, that is incredibly appealing. Story 57. Every man wants a good-looking woman. But above all, a man wants a mature woman with her life together. Story 58. I wouldn't say many, as there is a different type of dating imbalance as we age, due to midlife crises and similar factors. However, if she has taken care of herself and is pleasant to be around, a woman shouldn't have trouble finding a partner. Story 59. I believe older women can be more nurturing and open to love, rather than expecting you to do all the work. Many maintain their beauty throughout life. While not all, when it's cold outside and she keeps you warm, even a chilly house doesn't require blankets. I don't think I can experience that with a smaller partner. Story 60. Many younger men are attracted to older women for the maturity that their own age group lacks. I have had the displeasure of hearing the young adult drama and thought processes of this generation, and it sounds unbearable. The idea of dating someone outside of their challenging social dynamics would be very appealing. Story 61. Oh yes, all my life, I have never been attracted to women my age or younger. My wife is 5 years older, and I once went out with a 32-year-old when I was 19. The reason, other than the obvious Oedipal one, is experience and maturity, no silly games, and you feel wanted. Story 62. I'm sure there are many men who are attracted to older women but do not announce it or declare it for fear of being ridiculed or shamed. The patriarchy. Does a woman lose beauty as she ages? No. Does a woman lose kindness when she ages? No. So, of course, people are attracted to them. It's only the fear of others' perceptions that gets in the way of pursuing true desire. Story 63. I would rather date younger. Reddit is not reality, and I don't care what the echo chamber thinks. I would never date an older woman. It's pretty universal that men date younger, And as long as they are two consenting adults, it shouldn't matter. Story 64. Because they are experienced and do not have to commit to or take care of them. However, when it comes to choosing wives, the same men will prefer young women. Story 65. Older women know what they want, say it straight, and do not giggle after asking if you are a bad boy. At this age, I am not chasing butterflies. I am chasing peace, seasoned confidence, and someone who does not start fights because I did not text good morning fast enough. Story 66. I have been with older and much older partners, but now I prefer younger ones mainly because older individuals tend to have too much drama and trauma. I can handle adult responsibilities well, but I like to embrace my inner child when I can, and younger individuals enjoy both sides. Well, some do if they can get past the age gap. Story 67. This question is nearly impossible to answer without defining what older even means. For an 18-year-old, a 22-year-old may seem older but would have almost no impact on attraction. However, for a 62-year-old, it certainly would. For a 32-year-old, it might. In general, I would say old age is not attractive for anyone, men or women. People who say they like older men and women are usually conflating age with a set of characteristics associated with life experience. Men might say they like older women, but what they really like is less game playing, less dependency, fewer emotional roller coasters, better communication, and so on. A 60-year-old who behaves like an 18-year-old and has never been in a relationship is probably not attractive to the vast majority of men, unless they are also wealthy. The same applies to women. Many men love the notion that they can be 40 and still attract a younger woman, but the reality is that few women find a broke, balding, overweight man attractive simply because he is 40. Story 68. I hooked up with my first older woman when I was 23 and in college. She was 20 years my senior and opened a whole new world to me. Ever since then, I've never looked back. I'm 34 now, and 98% of my hookups and relationships have been with women who are 20 or more years older. Older women are more mature, confident, and not afraid to be upfront. They express their thoughts clearly, create less drama, and embrace their sexuality while exploring various experiences in the bedroom. Women my age and younger can be frustrating and often require excessive effort to please them, which is exhausting. Additionally, they are more likely to be unresponsive in intimate situations. Story 69. Some are, but generally no. The standard is illustrated in the Saturday Night Live skit, Meet Your Second Wife. Many of the individuals agreeing here are likely between 55 and 75 years old. Story 70. I'm in my late 20s and I can't date anyone younger than me. I have a career and I need any future partner to also be career-oriented. I'm struggling with money as I'm pursuing a master's degree, and I'm close to paying off some debts. I need someone mature enough to understand that I can't devote all my time to them at this point in my life. I have already had a relationship where I had to do everything because I was older. I had to teach my last ex-English how to swim, how to drive, help her write essays for her classes, and I had to bear the financial burden for years. I'm still not out of that situation. I absolutely need my next partner to be self-sufficient and fully independent. I would rather be alone at 90 than compromise on this. As a result, I'm leaning towards women who already have college degrees, their own homes, their own cars, and careers they care about. Most of these individuals are in their mid-30s. Also, I don't want children and I cannot have them due to a vasectomy. Being child-free is very important to me. Many women in their early 20s think they want to be child-free but often change their minds as they get older. A woman who is child-free at 35 is more likely to genuinely desire and maintain a child-free lifestyle. I'm a fairly active person who takes care of myself, and I believe that fit and athletic women in their 30s have a higher chance of staying fit and active into their 40s and 50s. Many 22-year-olds may go to the gym for a summer and then stop caring about their bodies. However, if someone has been consistently keeping fit in their 30s, it suggests they take it seriously. I recently started to view athletics as a necessity to avoid health issues in my 50s, whereas in my early 20s, I saw it as a way to look attractive. I feel this fundamental difference needs to be understood. For me, My desire for an older woman is tied to the fact that I'm somewhat young and have started down the postgraduate path of becoming a working adult. It's not so much that I'm specifically into older women, but rather into those who are firmly out of their 20s. Story 71. I am attracted to all women who are half my age plus 7, to my age minus 7, times 2. However, this does not apply if I think they are unpleasant. Story 72. I don't know why everyone is obscuring the truth. Men are most attracted to women aged 20 to 24. Story 73. Men are attracted to anything, an animal, a human, or even someone lifeless. It literally doesn't matter. They will pursue anything and everything. Once you realize this, every man seems suspicious. As a straight woman, it's defeating. I really wish being attracted to the same sex were a choice because I would choose it over and over again. Story 74. Older women will prepare a nice meal for you, even if the experience isn't great. They are just happy to be appreciated. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.